I'm Nadine, 30F, and I've been married to Walter, 32M, for 5 years. We met during our sophomore year of college when we were both volunteering at a local animal shelter. I was immediately drawn to Walter's kind nature and his love for animals. We bonded over our shared passion for rescue dogs and started dating soon after. Walter came from a large family. He was the youngest of 4 siblings and had always talked about wanting a big family of his own. I, on the other hand, was an only child. My parents had struggled with infertility for years before having me, so I grew up knowing that having children might not be easy for me either. Despite this, I always hoped to be a mother someday. When Walter and I got serious about our relationship, I told him about my family history and the possibility that I might have trouble conceiving. He assured me that he loved me no matter what and that we'd face any challenges together. We got married right after college graduation, with dreams of building a life and family together. For the first few years of our marriage, we focused on our careers. Walter worked his way up in a marketing firm while I pursued my passion for graphic design. We bought a small house in the suburbs and adopted 2 rescue dogs. Life was good, and we were happy. 2 years ago, we decided it was time to start trying for a baby. We were both excited and a little nervous. Months went by without success, but we tried to stay positive. We tracked my cycles, tried different diets, and even went to a fertility specialist for advice. After a year of trying with no results, our doctor suggested we undergo some tests. The results came back, and it was as I had feared. I had severe fertility issues that would make it very difficult for me to conceive naturally. The doctor explained that while not impossible, the chances of me getting pregnant without medical intervention were very slim. Walter was devastated by the news. He tried to hide it, but I could see the disappointment in his eyes. We talked about our options: IVF, surrogacy, adoption, but Walter seemed hesitant about all of them. He said he needed time to process the news. Over the next few months, Walter became increasingly distant. He stayed late at work, spent more time with his friends, and rarely talked about our future together. When I tried to bring up the topic of starting a family, he would change the subject or say he wasn't ready to discuss it yet. I was struggling too. The infertility diagnosis had hit me hard, making me question my worth as a woman and a wife. I started seeing a therapist to help me cope with my emotions. I encouraged Walter to come with me, but he always had an excuse for why he couldn't make it. 6 months after the diagnosis, Walter sat me down for a talk. He told me he wanted a divorce. He said he couldn't imagine a life without biological children and that we wanted different things now. I was shocked and heartbroken. I reminded him of all the options we had discussed: IVF, adoption, but he said he had thought about it and none of those options felt right to him. I begged Walter to reconsider, to give us more time to work through this together. But his mind was made up. He said he loved me but couldn't stay in a marriage where he would have to give up his dream of having children. The divorce process was quick but painful. Walter moved out and I was left alone in our house, surrounded by reminders of the life we had built together. Our friends were shocked by the split. Some took my side, others took Walter's, and many tried to stay neutral. It was a difficult time for everyone. In the months following the divorce, I fell into a deep depression. I barely left the house, ignored calls from friends and family, and struggled to find any joy in life. My parents, who lived in another state, wanted me to move back home with them, but I couldn't bear the thought of leaving the life I had built. Slowly, with the help of therapy and a few persistent friends, I started to pull myself together. I threw myself into my work, taking on more freelance projects to keep busy. I redecorated the house, erasing traces of Walter and creating a space that was entirely my own. About a year after the divorce, I started to feel like myself again. I joined a support group for women dealing with infertility and divorce, which helped me realize I wasn't alone in my struggles. I made new friends and even started dating a little, though I wasn't ready for anything serious. I also started exploring other options for having children on my own. I looked into sperm donors and adoption agencies, though I wasn't sure if single parenthood was right for me. Still, it felt good to be taking control of my life again. Last week, I ran into Walter at the grocery store. It was the first time I had seen him since the divorce was finalized. He looked different, tired and unkempt, nothing like the put-together man I had been married to. He seemed surprised to see me and asked if we could talk. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him for coffee the next day. At the cafe, Walter dropped a bombshell. He told me he had made a huge mistake in leaving me. He said that after our divorce, he had dated other women but couldn't connect with any of them the way he had with me. He realized that our love was more important than having biological children and that he wanted to try again. Walter said he was open to adoption or IVF now, or even living child-free if that's what I wanted. He apologized for how he had handled things and begged for another chance. I sat there, stunned by his words. Part of me wanted to jump into his arms and pretend the last 2 years had never happened. But a bigger part remembered the pain and loneliness I had gone through, the way Walter had abandoned me when I needed him most. I told Walter I needed time to think and left the cafe. Now I'm torn about what to do. I still love Walter. You don't just stop loving someone you spent a decade with. But I don't know if I can trust him not to leave again if things get tough. And I'm not sure I want kids anymore. The whole experience has changed how I feel about parenthood. I've come to terms with my infertility and I'm not sure I want to go through the emotional and physical stress of IVF or adoption. My friends are split on what I should do. Some think I should give Walter another chance, that true love is worth fighting for. Others say I'd be crazy to take him back after how he treated me. They worry he'll change his mind again once the reality of our situation sets in. My parents, who were heartbroken when we divorced, are surprisingly cautious about the idea of reconciliation. They say they'll support whatever decision I make, but I can tell they're worried about me getting hurt again. I don't know what to do. Should I give our marriage another try? Is it possible to rebuild trust after such a fundamental betrayal? Or is it better to leave the past in the past and continue moving forward with my life? I'm scared of getting hurt again, but I'm also scared of walking away from what might be my last chance at the life I always wanted. How do I know if Walter has really changed? How do I know if I've changed too much to make our relationship work? I keep thinking about the life we had planned together, a house full of kids and dogs, the family holidays, growing old side by side. It's hard to let go of that dream. But I also think about the strength and independence I've found in the last 2 years. I'm proud of the person I've become, and I'm not sure I want to risk losing myself again. I've given Walter a month to give me some space while I think things over. In the meantime, I'm talking to my therapist and really trying to figure out what I want for my future. I guess I'm looking for advice. Has anyone been in a similar situation? Did you give your ex another chance? How did it work out? And for those who chose not to reconcile, do you regret it? Thank you for reading this far. Any thoughts or advice would be greatly appreciated. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this post to get so much attention. Thank you all for your advice and support. To answer some common questions. 1. We did discuss kids before marriage and agreed we both wanted them someday. We didn't consider the possibility of infertility, which I realize now was naive. 2. Walter never cheated on me as far as I know. The issue was purely about having kids. 3. I'm in therapy and it's helping me process everything. 4. I haven't given Walter an answer yet. I told him I need time to think things through. I'll post an update once I've made a decision. Thanks again, everyone. Update 1. It's been a whirlwind few weeks since my last post. I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. Reading through your comments helped me gain perspective on my situation. After a lot of thinking and talking with my therapist, I decided to hear Walter out. We agreed to meet for dinner at a neutral location, a new restaurant in town that neither of us had been to before. The conversation was long and emotional. Walter started by apologizing again for how he handled things. He admitted that he panicked when we got the infertility diagnosis. He said he had always imagined having biological children and couldn't see any other way to have a family. He acknowledged that he had been selfish and short-sighted. Walter told me about his life since our divorce. He had dated a few women, but couldn't connect with any of them. He said he kept comparing them to me and realized that what he really wanted was a life with me, regardless of whether we had children or not. He talked about going to therapy himself and working through his issues around parenthood and his family expectations. Walter comes from a large family where having children is seen as a given. He said he had to confront his own beliefs and assumptions about what makes a family. I asked him pointed questions about what would happen if we tried IVF, and it didn't work, or if we started the adoption process and hit roadblocks. I needed to know if he would leave again when things got tough. Walter swore he was committed this time, no matter what. He said the time apart had made him realize that I was more important to him than having biological children. He even suggested we could be happy without kids if that's what I wanted. I was starting to soften towards him. It seemed like he had really done some soul-searching and grown as a person. But then he dropped a bombshell that changed everything. Walter confessed that shortly after our divorce, he had a one-night stand with a woman he met at the bar. It was a rebound thing, he said, a mistake made in a moment of weakness. But that wasn't the worst part. The woman got pregnant and decided to keep the baby. She's due in 2 months. I was floored. All this time, Walter had been telling me how much he regretted leaving me, how he realized kids weren't everything, and he had a baby on the way with someone else. The irony was almost too much to bear. Walter swears it was a mistake and that he has no romantic feelings for this woman. He says he'll support the child financially but doesn't want to be involved in its life. He claims he only told me because he wanted to be completely honest this time around. I'm reeling from this news. On one hand, I appreciate Walter's honesty. He didn't have to tell me about the baby. I probably never would have found out if he hadn't. And I can understand how it happened. We were both in a bad place after the divorce. But on the other hand, I feel betrayed all over again. The idea of Walter having a child with someone else, when that's the whole reason he left me, is almost too much to bear. And the thought of him abandoning his child doesn't sit well with me either. It's not the child's fault how it was conceived. I told Walter I needed space to process this new information. He respected that and hasn't contacted me since our dinner. Now I'm more confused than ever. Part of me still loves Walter and wants to believe we can work things out. I can see that he's changed and grown. But another part feels like this baby changes everything. How can I trust that Walter won't change his mind again once his child is born? And could I handle being a stepmother to the child that resulted from Walter leaving me? My friends are now unanimously against me getting back with Walter. They say he's proven himself untrustworthy and that I deserve better. They worry that I'll always be wondering if he's truly happy with me or if he resents me for keeping him from his child. My parents, who were cautiously optimistic about reconciliation before, are now firmly in the move-on camp. They say Walter has shown his true colors and that I shouldn't waste any more time on him. I'm torn between my head and my heart. My head says to cut my losses and move on for good. There's too much baggage, too much hurt. But my heart still yearns for the life we planned together. I still love Walter, despite everything. I'm scared of getting hurt again, but I'm also scared of walking away from my chance at happiness. What if Walter really has changed? What if this could be our second chance at the life we always wanted? But then I think about the baby. Could I really ask Walter to abandon his child? And if he did stay involved in the child's life, could I handle being a stepmother under these circumstances? Would I always resent the child for being the baby I couldn't give Walter? I don't know what to do. Should I give Walter another chance, knowing he'll soon be a father to another woman's child? Or should I accept that too much has happened and it's time to let go for good? I'm considering asking Walter to go to couples counseling with me if I decide to give our relationship another try. But I'm not sure if that's just prolonging the inevitable. I'd appreciate any advice or perspectives you can offer. Has anyone been in a similar situation? How did you handle it? Thank you all for your support and advice. It means more than you know. Update 2: I've been putting off this update because I'm still processing everything that's happened. But I owe you all an explanation, so here goes. After much soul-searching and many sessions with my therapist, I decided to give Walter another chance. We started couples counseling and we're slowly rebuilding our relationship. It was hard work, but I felt like we were making progress. We talked through our issues, my feelings of abandonment, his fears about parenthood, our different visions for the future. We worked on communication and rebuilding trust. Walter was attentive and patient, really putting in the effort to show me he had changed. I even started to come around to the idea of being involved in Walter's child's life. We talked about what that might look like, how we would explain our complicated situation to the child when they were older, how we would co-parent with the mother. It wasn't ideal, but I thought maybe we could make it work. Then, about a month ago, Walter's baby was born. A little girl named Lily. Walter was there for the birth and came to see me right after. He was a mess of emotions, happy, scared, guilty. He showed me pictures of Lily and I could see the love in his eyes already. Walter swore again that he was committed to me and that this baby wouldn't change anything between us. He said he wanted to be involved in Lily's life but that I was his priority. We talked about slowly introducing me as a stepmother figure once things settled down. I tried to be supportive. I really did. But every time Walter left to visit Lily, I couldn't stop imagining him holding her, loving her, being the father he always wanted to be, with someone else's child. The reality of the situation started to sink in. I found myself becoming resentful. When Walter would come home from visiting Lily, I didn't want to hear about it. I was jealous of the time he spent with her and her mother. I started to wonder if I would always feel like an outsider in my own family. 2 weeks ago, Walter came to me with tears in his eyes. He said he was falling in love with his daughter and wanted to be a full-time dad. He was struggling with a limited visitation schedule he had agreed to with Lily's mother. He asked if I would consider raising Lily with him, as a family. I was stunned. This was exactly what I had feared would happen. Walter was choosing fatherhood over our relationship, again. All the old feelings of betrayal and abandonment came rushing back. I took a few days to think things over. I tried to imagine a life where I raised Walter's child with him, always knowing that I couldn't give him a baby of my own. I tried to picture explaining to Lily when she was older why her dad had left me, only to come back when she was born. In the end, I realized I couldn't do it. As much as I love Walter, I can't raise another woman's child, especially not under these circumstances. It's too painful, too complicated. The wounds from our divorce are still too fresh. Yesterday, I told Walter that it was over for good. I told him he should focus on being a father to Lily. She deserves a dad who is fully committed to her, not torn between two families. Walter was devastated, but he understood. We both cried as we said goodbye, knowing it was for good this time. It felt like the end of a chapter in my life. So here I am, single again. But strangely, I feel more at peace than I have in a long time. I realize now that Walter and I were never going to work out. We want different things in life, and that's okay. I'm grateful for the time we had together and the lessons I've learned from this experience. I'm focusing on myself now. I've started a new hobby, painting. It's something I've always wanted to try but never made time for when I was with Walter. I find it relaxing and fulfilling in a way I didn't expect. I'm planning a solo trip to Europe next month, something I've dreamed of doing for years. I'm excited to explore new places and maybe find some inspiration for my art. I'm not ready to date yet, but for the first time in years, I'm excited about my future. I don't know what it holds, but I feel strong enough to face whatever comes my way. This whole experience has taught me a lot about myself and what I want in life. I've learned that I'm stronger than I ever thought possible. I've survived heartbreak, betrayal, and the loss of my dreams for the future. But I've come out the other side, and I'm proud of the person I've become. I'm still not sure how I feel about having children. The desire isn't as strong as it once was, but I'm leaving the door open. If I meet the right person and we decide to have a family, great. If not, I know now that I can have a fulfilling life without children. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. Your advice and kind words have meant more than you know. I'll post one final update in a few months to let you know how I'm doing. Update 3. It's been half a year since my last update, and I wanted to share how things have been going. I'm doing really well. The trip to Europe was exactly what I needed. I spent a month traveling through Italy, France, and Spain. I visited art museums, tried new foods, and met interesting people from all over the world. It gave me time to reflect on my life and what I want for my future. I came back feeling refreshed and ready for a new chapter. I've thrown myself into my painting and I'm surprised by how much I enjoy it. I've been taking classes at a local art studio and practicing at home. I've even sold a few pieces at local art fairs. It's not a career yet, but it's a fulfilling hobby that brings me joy. I'm considering taking some graphic design courses to incorporate my new artistic skills into my work. I started dating again about 3 months ago. Nothing serious yet, but I've met some nice guys. I'm taking things slow and being upfront about my past and my uncertainty about having kids. It's been refreshing to date without the pressure of rushing towards marriage and children. I'm enjoying getting to know people without any expectations. As for Walter, I haven't seen him since our last goodbye. I heard through mutual friends that he's adjusting to fatherhood and seems happy. He's apparently very involved in his daughter's life. I'm glad for him, truly. We both got what we needed in the end, even if it wasn't with each other. My feelings about having children have evolved. I'm no longer sure if I want kids, and I'm okay with that. I've been volunteering at a local animal shelter, which satisfies my nurturing instincts. If I meet the right person and we decide to have a family, great. If not, I know I can have a fulfilling life without children. The biggest change has been in how I view myself. For so long, I tied my worth to my ability to have children or to keep a marriage together. Now I know that I'm valuable just as I am. My infertility doesn't define me. My failed marriage doesn't define me. I define me. I still have hard days sometimes. Days when I miss the future I thought I would have with Walter. Days when I worry about growing old alone. But those days are getting fewer and farther between. When they do come, I have strategies to cope. I call a friend, go for a long walk, or lose myself in my painting. I've reconnected with some old friends and made new ones. I joined a book club and a hiking group. I'm building a support network that doesn't revolve around a romantic partner. It's been empowering to realize that I can create a rich, full life on my own. My relationship with my parents has improved too. They've been incredibly supportive throughout this whole process. They visit more often now, and I've been making an effort to call them regularly. We're closer now than we've been in years. Overall, I'm happier and more confident than I've been in years. I'm excited about my future, whatever it may hold. I don't know if I'll find love again, or if I'll become a mother someday. But I know that I'll be okay either way.